10 years prior, gates leading to another dimension unexpectedly opened all over the globe. New magical abilities emerged in certain humans, enabling them to confront these monsters. Those individuals became known as hunters. They're categorized based on the power they possess, ranging from E rank, the weakest, to D, C, B, A, and S rank, the most powerful. Their abilities remain at the level they initially awakened, never enhancing further. On a construction site, the notoriously recognized weakest hunter, Sung Jin-woo, arrives to join the other hunters for the raid that will soon commence. Although he is the weakest, Jin-woo is not looked down upon, but his involvement in a job indicates that the raid will be an uncomplicated one. Sung greets Lee Joo-hee, a healer he has collaborated with in the past. She is concerned to see his injuries from a prior job and advises him to exercise caution. He takes a seat and engages in light conversation with her. Despite the dangers of continuing as a hunter due to his lack of abilities, he isn't troubled by being labeled the weakest and informs her that he is accustomed to it. Song Chi-yul, the team leader, soon assembles the remainder of the team as he introduces himself. As the raid commences, Sung checks that he possesses his weapon. It is a low-power knife, but it is all he could afford. Gaining assurance, Sung Jin-woo is the last to step into the portal. Meanwhile, the chairman of the Korean Hunters Association, Go Gun-hee, is in a discussion about the intricate details of dungeon raids with his assistant, Woo Jin-chul. Go informs him that the resources located within, essence stones gathered by defeating magical beasts, hunters can sustain themselves by selling them. Back in the dungeon, Jin-woo is thrilled when he discovers his very first essence stone. However, his excitement is fleeting as a magical beast assaults him. He tries to stab the goblin, only to his astonishment, it shatters before being stabbed back in the abdomen. Unable to endure his injury on the ground, Park Gi-sul, a teammate, eliminates the goblin while Joo-hee provides healing for his stab wound. The raid team successfully defeats the dungeon boss, a werewolf, and celebrates as they gather loot, while Jin-woo observes from afar, recuperating from his injuries. Joo-hee, worried, expresses her fears to him while she tends to his wounds. Then, Jongko finds an entrance to a rare double dungeon and shares the exciting news with the team. The team agrees to hold a vote on whether to explore it for additional loot. Jin-woo possesses the deciding vote regarding entering the cave, while Joo-hee opposes it. Jin-woo is the primary provider for his family. His father is absent, his mother is hospitalized, and he contributes to his sister's college tuition. He requires the money, so he casts his vote to delve into the depths of the dungeon. Now, within the Hunters Guild building, Yoo Jin-ho is glimpsed entering a room as he stands before a machine. Simultaneously, in a city, two purse snatchers on a motorcycle attempt to escape after stealing a woman's handbag. A striking young woman leaps into the air and effortlessly retrieves the purse, taking down the thief in a single fluid motion, who promptly returns the bag to its rightful owner. Her actions capture the attention of nearby citizens, causing them to gather around her. Feeling uneasy with the attention, Cha quickly escapes using her agility, returning to Jin-woo and his team. They trek through the cave for 40 minutes. Noticing Jin-woo's sadness, Joo-hee comforts him, suggesting that he should take her out sometime as a way to thank her for her steadfast support. Eventually, they reach the end of the tunnel and come across a colossal door, prompting them to decide to open it and step into the unknown room beyond. Meanwhile, Chairman Go Gun-hee speaks to the newly awakened individuals, cautioning them about the risks of becoming hunters, and never let themselves become arrogant or careless. As Jin-woo and his team walked in, the massive room within started to illuminate with blue flames. Anticipating the encounter with magical creatures and valuable treasures, the team is bewildered by the appearance of the place filled with ancient statues and instructions. Joo-hee informs Jin-woo that she just noticed the largest statue in this room watching them. Suddenly, the door forcefully slams shut, prompting one of the team members to rush out as he attempts to push the door open. But to their fright, one of the statues guarding the entrance viciously attacks him with its weapon. Horrified by the sight of the statue animating, the team members stand in shock, prompting Jin-woo to turn and look at the largest of all the statues that Joo-hee had warned him about. Sung reflects on all the previous near disasters he has faced in dungeons, from suffering severe injuries to almost dying from hunger. After having endured for this long, Jin-woo instantly understood what was about to occur next. Jin-woo shouted for his teammates to duck as the statue's eye started to launch an attack. A devastating beam of light fired at the hunters, turning several of them into ashes. Jin-woo rescues Joo-hee from danger, but soon realizes they are seriously threatened. Paralyzed by fear, Jin-woo's comrades question one another about what to do before Chi-yul cautions them not to move to prevent the statue from launching another attack. Jin-woo attempts to speak with Joo-hee, who is too traumatized to respond after what she has just experienced. Chi-yul inquires how Jin-woo anticipated the statue's attack, to which Jin-woo replies it was instinct, And then he shockingly realizes that Chi-yul has lost an arm from the statue's assault. Jinwoo assists him in stopping the bleeding, and Chi-yul comments that he suspects the statue to be A rank, if not S rank. Chi-yul then states that the commandments aren't there for fun and begins to enumerate them, saying, "First, thou shalt worship God. Second, thou shalt praise God. Third, thou shalt prove thy faith. Those who do not follow these laws will not leave alive." Jinwoo then understands that God refers to the enormous statue. Simultaneously in school, Jinwoo's sister, Sung-jina, is attending class when her friend Han Song-yi narrowly avoids tardiness and inquires about Jinwoo's role as a hunter. Jina modestly describes him as simply an E rank, typically vulnerable to injuries. Quietly, Song-yi comments that she could make even an E rank look impressive if she were to become one. Within the dungeon, Chi-yul and Jinwoo discuss how to confront the 3 trials posed by the statue of God. Frustrated by their situation, another hunter, Ju Jae-hwan, attempts to flee to the door, asserting that speed is his strength. However, he is instantly disintegrated by a beam of light, leaving only his 2 feet behind. Jinwoo chooses to evaluate the statue after being reminded that the foremost commandment is to worship God. He rises before stepping back anxiously, prompting the statue's eyes to flick toward him, illuminate, and then cease. Realizing his assumptions were correct, he shouts to the other survivors to kneel before the statue. The enormous statue's countenance quickly transforms into a malevolent grin. Observing the statue's alteration but lack of movement, Park Beom-shik rises and feels relieved to see the statue remain still. Convinced it is all over, the remaining group stands, yet they are astonished to notice the statue mimicking their actions as it starts to approach them. Reflecting on the second commandment, "Thou shalt praise God," one of the members claims he is a student of ethnology and that he possesses a few extollments for gods. Then he begins addressing the approaching statue with the prayers he knows. The hunter is soon trampled by the statue's feet as its grin broadens. Jinwoo eventually understands that the concept of praise pertains to hymns, so he instructs the survivors to head to the statues equipped with instruments instead of weapons. Jinwoo pulls Juhi towards a statue of a drummer and quickly realizes that the statues will not activate if 2 individuals are nearby, so he leaves Juhi with the statue and searches for another statue that holds instruments. However, Jinwoo's slow pace nearly results in him being crushed by the god statue's foot, causing him to inadvertently roll to a statue that bears a shield. The statue employs its weapon by dropping onto him. Jinwoo is then seen crawling toward a statue, managing to activate it to sing, prompting the god statue to halt its pursuit and return to its throne. As Juhi reconnects with Jinwoo, she understands that he has lost a leg and swiftly attempts to heal him. Suddenly, there is a rumble in the chamber, and they all look to see that the massive statue has made a stone cylinder appear in the center of the room. Jinwoo clarifies that it is an altar that was used for sacrifices in ancient times. Sang-shik then suggests that Chi-yul should use this moment to take responsibility for the fallen. Jinwoo also thinks during this moment that it was a collective decision, so one person should not be blamed, which he easily agrees to, and steps toward the center, igniting a flame. This moment is confusing for a brief time before Jinwoo asks 2 of the other survivors to assist him in walking to the altar, lighting 3 more flames in the circle. Meanwhile, in Jina's location, she is now depicted visiting her unconscious mother and updating her on her school results. Back at the dungeon, Jinwoo instructs everyone to gather at the altar, while the survivors are astonished to observe a ring of blue flames emerge around the original 6 flames as the dungeon door opens. At this moment, all the statues start advancing towards the still terrified group, and Jinwoo quickly realizes that if someone was watching a statue, it couldn't move, commenting that it was reminiscent of the game they had played as children. Recognizing the open door as a trap, the 2 members assisting Jinwoo stand aside in fear. He then yells that no one else should exit because it would create a blind spot, prompting Sang-shik to ponder if they did escape. What if the doors closed anyway? And he then apologizes, breaking into tears as he expresses that he has a family waiting for him. Now, with only Juhi, Chi-yul, and Jinwoo remaining, Chi-yul tries to stay back, but Juhi collapses and, in shock, reveals that her legs are immobile, discovering she has exhausted her magic. Jinwoo instructs Chi-yul to carry Juhi out and hands her the essence stone he acquired earlier, telling her to buy food as he had previously promised to take her for a meal, which leads Juhi to question in tears how he can still make jokes before being neck-chopped by Chi-yul. Chi-yul then expresses regret that he would have allowed them more time for farewells, but sadly he is out of time, and he then lifts Juhi. A desperate Jinwoo seizes the sword that Sang-shik left behind and reflects on his unfortunate desire to gain strength like others. One of the statues, now close enough, hurls its weapon at Jinwoo, but misses. Jinwoo is soon savagely attacked by the statues as his screams reverberate throughout the dungeon. Jinwoo leans against the altar and tries to scream something, but is stabbed by a statue's spear before being lifted into the air and thrown onto the altar, surrounded by his own blood that has pooled over the altar, as one of the statues raises its sword and brings it down on Jinwoo. A blue flame extinguishes, and an interface materializes in Jinwoo's mind, prompting him to either accept or decline, leading Jinwoo to accept. Jinwoo unexpectedly awakens in a hospital, surprised to find that his body has healed, including his left leg. He receives a visit from Woo Jinchul and Kang Tae-shik, inspectors from the Korean Hunters Association. Jinchul explains that he and his fellow hunters only discovered him collapsed on the floor with no traces of the statues that the other survivors described. He then presses Jinwoo about whether he might have experienced a second awakening, and they encourage him to evaluate his mana by placing his hand on a mana meter. Jinchul expresses regret as they seem to have erred upon seeing that the machine shows his score as 10. As they depart, Tae-shik remarks, "Even E ranks typically get higher than 70. He is basically just a civilian." Jinwoo wonders why the officials did not inquire about a message from the system. Shortly after, Jinwoo's sister Sung Jina arrives to convey her concerns. She even threatens to quit school to work, giving Jinwoo the chance to retire from hunting. He subtly attempts to find out if she can perceive the system message hovering before him. Once he understands that the message is only visible to him alone, Jinwoo explores the enigmatic messages from the system. He then finds a daily quest labeled "Strength Training Has Arrived." Feeling doubtful and thinking it might be a figment of his imagination, at the Hunters Guild building, Choi Jong-in assigns Cha Hae-in to join the upcoming B-rank raid. Elsewhere, civilians experience their evening interrupted by the abrupt appearance of a gate in the middle of a road. Meanwhile, Jinwoo is peacefully resting in his hospital room, unaware of the ticking clock of the daily quest he regarded as a joke. He is abruptly awakened, only to find himself in a vast, sunless desert. A new notification instructs him to survive for the next 4 hours. For 4 grueling hours in the desert, Jinwoo narrowly escapes the chase from the centipedes and is discovered exhausted by the nurses in the hospital. Lee Joo-hee, who is still heavily impacted by her experience in the double dungeon, receives a call inviting her to take part in a raid, which she instinctively declines, given her past trauma. She is also informed that Jinwoo has awakened, prompting her to visit the hospital, where she finds him jogging outside. Jinwoo takes a seat as he completes more of his quests and starts to grasp the functions and rewards he gains. Back in his hospital room, Jinwoo receives a unique reward this time that bestows upon him a key with his new ability points. He allocates them entirely to strength. Jinwoo determines that the moment has arrived to utilize the mysterious key he obtained. He inserts the key into a door within the subway, thereby activating the entrance to the dungeon. However, upon crossing the threshold, he soon realizes that there is no way back. As he investigates the dungeon, he quickly encounters a pair of goblins. Jinwoo faces the harsh truth of his dangerous predicament. While he takes a breather, a steel-fanged Raikon appears from behind. Jinwoo frantically devises a strategy as the wolf advances at an alarming pace. Jinwoo realizes that he has acquired remarkable agility. He is even more astonished to find that he can now deliver a strong blow to the magic beast. Jinwoo understands that he cannot defeat the creature with his bare hands. He attempts to escape and contemplates a weapon to arm himself. He finds out that he has access to his inventory, allowing him to retrieve the sword he obtained at the double dungeon that had been left by Kim Sang-shik for the purpose of slaying the wolf. 2 additional steel-fanged wolves emerge. Jinwoo attempts to swing the sword at one of them, but is halted by the creature's jaw. He exerts more force into his weapon, eliminating the wolf. The second wolf, uncertain about attacking, chooses to flee. As he ponders how to conquer the boss of this dungeon, Jinwoo notices many more steel-fanged Raikons that have emerged from the shadows. Fueled by courage, Jinwoo charges to take down more of the wolves and emerges triumphant, slaughtering all of the creatures. He inspects his inventory and retrieves one of the items that he just collected, a teleportation stone, before proceeding down the corridor in the dungeon. Outside, Lee Joo-hee answers a call from the Hunters Association informing her that the gate has experienced a dungeon break. She feels remorse for rejecting their request and consents to participate. Jinwoo realizes he has become stronger. Despite his uncertainty about confronting the dungeon's boss, initially welcomed by silence in a vast sewer, signaling an approaching danger before being slammed against the wall, he faces the dungeon boss, the snake magical beast referred to as Blue Venom-Fanged Kasaka. Taking a moment to assess the enemy's appearance, he attempts to strike with his blade but achieves no damage. Jinwoo is flung into a nearby body of water by the snake's tail, narrowly avoiding its head. Rising to the surface, he just manages to evade a train that is hurled at him. As he stands to continue the fight, Kasaka unyieldingly dominates the fight, launching Jinwoo through a wall with its immense strength. Despite several efforts to break through the snake's scales with his damaged sword, Jinwoo eventually discards the weapon. He grapples with the snake's neck. He tightens his grip, grabbing hold of the snake's scale armor as the beast thrashes violently. Through sheer determination, Jinwoo ultimately exerts enough force to kill the creature. He acquires Kasaka's venom fang. The snake's carcass along with the dungeon vanishes, reverting the instant dungeon back to the Hapjeong subway station. As he ascends the stairs to leave the dungeon, a soldier spots him and admonishes him for being there, only to realize that he is a hunter and leads him out of the area. Following the soldier, Jinwoo inquires if magic beasts escaped after a dungeon breach. The man responds that most were killed, with only a giant one remaining, which Jinwoo could sense and locate due to his enhanced abilities provided by the system. A group of hastily assembled E&D rank hunters is battling a massive blue stone golem, struggling to even penetrate its defenses. Behind a military barricade, civilians, including Jinwoo, observe the event unfold. Jinwoo quickly comprehends that the hunters are overmatched by the creature and spots Juhi among them, struggling with her healing magic due to the stress from the double dungeon. Jinwoo resolves to step in. He prepares to throw the broken sword. Jinwoo's sword pierces the golem's eye and defenses, reversing the situation and allowing the hunters to eliminate the monster. The tanker among the hunters, spotting a shattered sword among the rubble, he asks a nearby soldier who launched the sword that hit the golem. The soldier replies that it was the action of an unknown hunter from the rear, who has now vanished. Shocked by the tremendous force behind the action, the tanker is left at a loss for words, speculating whether it was a high-ranking hunter. Meanwhile, Jinwoo, having already left the location, contemplates that the golem may have been weakened prior to his sword throw. Juhi catches a glimpse of him in an alley and questions if he was the one responsible. The nurses at the hospital found it hard to refrain from chatting about their patient, Jinwoo, and his impressive physique, a result of his committed strength training facilitated by the system. Jinwoo's altered appearance garnered admiration from the nurses, particularly when Nurse Choi Yura came across him after a workout and couldn't help but blush at the sight of his muscles. With a combination of nervousness and courage, she quickly informed him of his discharge, taking the chance to ask for his phone number. Unaware of the hidden motives, Jinwoo naively agreed, assuming it was part of the checkout process. At Jinwoo's home, his sister, Gina, realizing the time is getting late for school, Gina calls out for her brother as she gets ready to head to school, while Jinwoo, still sporting bedhead, yawns and greets her. Gina is taken aback by his new appearance and inquires whether he has been working out recently. Noticing the results of his training, she remarks that he even appears taller than before. She puts on her shoes, preparing to leave for school, while Jinwoo advises her to take the umbrella, showing his protective instincts. Even though she refuses, he continues to insist. Having reached level 18, he assigns his stat points, emphasizing strength, agility, and perception after overcoming the dungeon boss. However, his thoughts are interrupted by a phone call from his landlord, reminding him of unpaid rent. Although the landlord proposes to extend the deadline, Jinwoo turns it down, determined not to burden anyone. Resolving to pay the bill immediately, he realizes he needs to secure raid work to earn sufficient funds. This leads Jinwoo to enhance his stats before diving into online searches for potential raid opportunities. He is cautious about drawing too much attention if he participates in raids in higher-ranked gates. He wishes to understand more about what's happening to him before facing that level of scrutiny. One job listing captures his interest. Jinwoo heads to the raid group's meeting location at a gate in a construction area for his daily quest run. He encounters the raid leader, Hwang Dong-suk. Jinwoo is known as the weakest hunter, and Hwang quiets the other hunters when they begin to laugh about this. Jinwoo is unfazed, but he wants to confirm that he can participate as an E rank. The leader reassures him that he is merely there to fulfill their hunter quota so they can access a C-rank dungeon. They will handle all the fighting. Jinwoo notices the absence of a healer, which strikes him as unusual, but he signs a release form and officially joins the raid. The youngest member of the raid introduces himself, 21-year-old Yu Jinho, a talkative D-rank hunter, clad in a new set of expensive armor. They enter the dungeon and observe the absence of magical beasts and glowstones, rendering the place completely dark. Jinwoo recalls Kartanon Temple. The group arrives at a junction in the tunnels, and Jinwoo senses the presence of beasts. He deduces they are insect types and perceives their attack approaching from above. Just as he alerts the group, a horde of ant-like creatures assaults them. Jinwoo notes that the hunters are well coordinated, and Jinho keeps up thanks to his expensive armor. However, something feels amiss. Jinho maintains a friendly dialogue with Jinwoo as the hunters continue to traverse the dungeon. It is vast, yet predominantly devoid of monsters. As they reach the boss chamber, they discover it brimming with sparkling mana stones and a slumbering giant spider. He instructs Jinho and Jinwoo to remain in place while it sleeps as the rest of the group steps out to retrieve their excavation equipment. Then, the group executes their plan. The hunters seal the chamber with an explosion, trapping Jinho and Jinwoo inside with the boss. They will act as bait for the spider, likely putting it to slumber with a full stomach, allowing the group to seize the mana crystals for themselves. Jinwoo tells Jinho to step back as he intends to confront the boss alone.
Hwang Dong-suk and his group of lizards exit the dungeon's gate, intending to sneak back through the upper side tunnels after the formidable giant arachnid Buryura deals with Jinwoo and Jinho. They look down on Jinwoo, labeled as the weakest hunter, and Jinho, who lacks raid experience. Nonetheless, they observe Jinho's costly equipment. Dong-suk and Kyuhwan confess to one another that they wouldn't be able to defeat the arachnid alone, mocking the dangerous fate they've left Jinwoo and Jinho in. Within the C-rank dungeon boss's lair, with a very angry spider looming, Jinho proposes that they search for an exit instead of engaging in battle, considering that one has to be at least B-rank to solo a C-rank boss. However, Jinwoo, undaunted by the peril that exceeds that of Kasaka and the stone golem he previously defeated, refuses to retreat. With a defiant grin, Jinwoo charges forward to confront the spider, initiating his assault to Jinho's astonishment. Despite his tireless efforts, Jinwoo's dagger, Kasaka's venom fang, cannot penetrate the spider's resilient exoskeleton. He continues to strike, skillfully dodging the powerful blows from the arachnid's legs, yet his attacks yield no results. Observing Jinwoo's speed and skill, Jinho stands frozen in shock, unable to comprehend that Jinwoo might merely be an E-rank. The idea occurs to him that Jinwoo could have intentionally misrepresented his rank. He is aware of false rankers, uncommon hunters who can manipulate their mana readings because they find pleasure in killing, which now instills a new sense of dread regarding Jinwoo. Overcome by the situation, Jinho sinks to his knees, his thoughts drifting to his father and questioning his own presence in such a dangerous environment. Jinwoo is rapidly exhausting himself by using his speed and agility for his unyielding attacks. He cannot locate a weak point. Suddenly, he depletes his stamina, and the magical beast lands a blow. Just before it delivers the fatal strike, Jinwoo accepts the full recovery reward awarded for completing his dailies. Rejuvenated, he leaps into the air and pierces the spider in an eye. The weapon's paralysis and drain effects complete the job, and Jinwoo levels up a few times when the dungeon boss collapses. Jinho forces a smile onto his face and refers to Jinwoo as boss while handing him a bottle of water. Jinwoo fails to grasp why he is acting so oddly. The raid party emerges from the tunnels above them, astonished to find them both alive. Elsewhere, Chairman Go, the head of the Hunters Guild, feels fatigued after a long day of meetings. His subordinate Jin Chul proposes they train together for a change of scenery. Go effortlessly deflects Jin Chul's strikes before delivering a blow that sends the younger man soaring. He expresses gratitude to Jin Chul and states that their sparring session was exactly what he required. Go further praises him for maintaining his training, as it can significantly impact survival in a perilous dungeon. Back in the boss lair, the deceitful lizards return. They wrongly assume that Jinho must have defeated the spider with his high-end equipment. Dong-suk then gives Jinho a menacing ultimatum: kill Jinwoo to ensure his own survival. Nevertheless, Jinho declines to betray Jinwoo. In retaliation, Dong-suk instructs his group to take out the weaker hunter first. At that moment, a system message appears, tasking Jinwoo with the mission of eliminating the 6 murderous hunters. Within this tense atmosphere, the mage Kyuhwan seizes the moment to execute a magic strike on Jinwoo while he is distracted, sending him crashing into the dungeon wall. Park Heejin of the White Tiger Guild reunites with 2 friends from the Hunters Guild in the city for lunch. Heejin inquires about their A-rank dungeon training with the renowned S-rank hunter Cha Hai-in. They inform her that it progressed quickly. While they faced challenges, Cha effortlessly took down an A-rank beast. The trio engages in conversation while sipping their tea. Gina comments on their good fortune to be in reputable guilds, as some dungeon strike teams have concerning fatality rates. Back in the dungeon, Jinwoo lies among the debris from Cho Kyuhwan's assault and contemplates how their world promotes the survival of the fittest. The system is compelling him to kill other humans, or risk his own demise. Why does it wish to keep him alive? He rises to his feet, resolving that if the system intends to exploit him, he will use it in turn. Jun Tai, a traitorous D-rank hunter, approaches Jinwoo with confidence, only to have his head severed before he can complete his sentence. Jinwoo acknowledges that he has become a murderer. even if he's merely following the system's commands. But he cannot retreat. He eliminates the others, leaving only the C-rank party leader Dong-suk. Jinwoo easily evades Dong-suk's strike and takes him down with a single hand. He has been leveling up during this whole time. The desperate hunter begs for mercy, but Jinwoo coldly retorts that Dong-suk tried to kill him 3 times. Jinwoo removes his head, and the dungeon starts to collapse. Jinho and Jinwoo manage to escape safely outside. A representative from the Hunters Guild is taken aback that only the D-rank and E-rank hunters survived, but assumes it's due to Jinho's superior equipment. As rain begins to fall from the evening sky, Jinwoo feels relieved that he gave his sister an umbrella that morning.